Good evening, people. Welcome back to Mufc Realist TV with your host, Mick Ruby. This is the second part of the embargo section that we had earlier this morning with the Swedish Rumble exclusive. If you missed it, no problemo at all. Just go back in the video list and view it as we go. But today we are continue that section to speak about everything about Manchester United, the takeover, the financial fair play, the Harry Maguire story, what's going on with Mason Greenwood and all that stuff knitted in all together.
No! God, please, no!
All the way to just on a sales list to clear the deadwood.
Yeah.
That gives me an indication that Joe Glazer no longer...
Well, definitely. And I think it's kind of insane in itself, but we aren't no longer run by a guy without any football background that doesn't know the game. And I think I so recognize the way Manchester United have acted.
But before we continue, guys, please smash a like, and we should take your questions after this embargo section is a Q&A, what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to engage as a community, but please leave your comments below. Please chat in the chat box below, because here we go.
Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world
on Mufc Realist TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
Now, welcome to Mufc Realist TV. As you heard in the introduction, I have a very exclusive guest in my studio who has chosen to be anonymous for a simple reason that he has a very crucial job that requires not for him to show his face, but he's come to Mufc Realist TV exclusively to talk about, what's going on with Manchester United in terms of the financial FFPs, what's going on with Mason Greenwood, and also what most of you are probably tuning into, what's going on with the takeover. Without further ado, I want you to introduce with the faceless guest in the frame here, Mr. Swedish Rumble. How are you today, sir?
Hi, Mick. Thank you, and thank you so much for the kind words. It's a pleasure to be on.
It is a pleasure too, sir, because we've been speaking all this summer during this takeover process. I know who you are, but I do respect the integrity, and we had some really interesting conversations. But I want to break the ice for people that don't know you, people that been on Twitter, are big admirers of your tweets and basically providing a voice of reasoning, logical, how things are moving in terms of. Can you tell the audience, what you are and who you are and what you do for living, X, Y, Z, and let's take it from there.
Absolutely. I'm a bit in a bit of a strange life situation, and have a bit of a strange background. I'm a lawyer and become a partner at a law firm here in Sweden and so forth. And then, unfortunately, my son got very ill. He got bone cancer 3 years ago, and he has received treatment for that back and forth. And like with cancer, it comes back, and we are fighting it tooth and nails right now again. And but on the flip side, all this heavy stuff, we spend a lot of time at the hospital. He's 15, and we share one thing, and that's. We both love football, and so we watch and follow Manchester United 24/7 at times, and we watch your channel and so much else. And being like I am, I have a bit of a inclination to really dive into things. So my interest in United have kind of is born again, and we have this takeover. It's amazing everything that's going on, and so it started, and like my son in that age, all they do is watch YouTube and social media, and we start Rumble as a thing, you know, and it's been amazing. He's on YouTube watching analytics and see when to put up videos and helping me editing stuff and everything. So it's fun, and that's the great thing with Manchester United. It's a community. It's something you can kind of dive into and live in the universe.
Yeah, now first and foremost, I'm so it's sad to hear about your son, and I hope he's well. And the second takeaway that I could understood that you're both are bonding together in form of Manchester United, and you know his illness has kind of then made your little bit more free up time, and in terms of the tweets that you're putting out and the analysis that you're putting out, it's been a revelation for many Manchester United fans that are following you. But in your work situation, you mentioned you work in a major big law firm, and how are you involved in that law firm? Is it sports law? Are you dealing with the
no actually
mergers and acquisitions and
public M&A. So that's the only thing I'm really an expert on, Swedish public M&A. But with that said, it's of course, I think I can follow a lot of what is happening with this transaction regarding United. Even if I wouldn't take an assignment and bill people for legal advice regarding the Cayman Islands.
Well, when you say M&A, that means for people that don't understand the terminology, mergers and acquisition.
Buying and selling companies.
Yeah. So in your line of work, you are dealing with the major corporations and advising, like, you know, mergers and acquisitions. You are well versed in the sales and takeover processes because you probably worked with that before. So, you know, just because it's not international, like you said, it's Swedish clients and stuff like that, doesn't mean that processes change, right? It's the same principle that you're applying.
It's very much the same, and we come across the big banks, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and those players. We work with them too. We don't, of course, have big international companies. I think it's not that different.
No, it's not that different, 100%. But, you know, so your passion lies, of course, at what you said, like, you know, the line of work that you're doing, you're providing your expertise in your tweets is based on basically your personal experience working in that industry and mergers and acquisitions. And you can recognize the patterns, you can recognize the shadow bidding process as what's been dragging on for 10, 11 months. According to your opinion, is it taking well too long time, or is it normal according to your opinion?
No! God, please, no!
Which leads us to the, we will come back to the takeover, like a little bit conscious of time, and which leads us to the FFP and the budgeting side of things, right? Because there's a lot of speculations regarding the press, because I just laugh, Mr. Rumble, because every year we get the same story from the same outlets to say that Manchester United only have 100 million to spend, 150 max. But guess what? How much have we spent so far?
That's a good question, but I think we're closing in on 200 million before everything is said and done.
Okay. So let's talk about the budget side of it. How much do you think that we have, barring that if we get all the players out, we are actually saving money on the wage bill, about 50, 60 million, if everything goes to
Let's get ready to rumble!
Now, for viewers that don't understand the proper FFP, I'm sure you're versed what FFP stands for and what does it really impact. It's all about balancing the operational costs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Manchester United generate a lot of revenue. So when we compare, for example, Chelsea, that there's been a lot of discussions about Chelsea FFP situation, and United blow them away in so many areas. If we look at match day, commercial, and so forth. fundamentally, Manchester United is a really strong club. That's up there with any other club in the world when we look at commercial revenue from sponsors and what we make on match day and selling tickets and so forth. The problem has, of course, been that we had a really expensive squad, paid wages that were unmatched by any other club in the Premier League. I think David De Gea, his wage was like 3 times higher than Alisson's or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we were so mismanaged. And like we discussed, Eric Bailly now, will he be sold? But why on earth did we resign him? Like, what is it, 18 months ago?
I have a theory regarding that. If I may steal you a couple of words.
Yeah.
This leads into the takeover because Glazers, part of the evaluation is the squad valuation as well. How much is the squad worth? And that's getting baked into the price. And that's the only reason why they extended the contracts and gave them big money to boost the evaluation of the club.
Yeah.
Do you get my point?
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying there. But, I just want to get down to the FFP rules and how Chelsea get around and how not Manchester United. Because apparently there's 2 FFP rules. If you're playing in Europe, you're adhering to the European FFP. If you're not playing in Europe, you still have to adhere in the British Premier League's FFP.
Yeah, exactly. I think so Europe, UEFA have adopted a new regulation, and that will enter into force gradually over this and the next years. And so United is definitely not in any trouble in relation to UEFA's provisions. But the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rule still applies. And according to that rule, you look back 3 years. So next summer, they will look back at the season ending in 24, the season ending in 23, and the season ending in 22. And we made the season 21-22 season was, of course, horrible. We fired 2 coaches. We performed record bad in the Premier League. I think we haven't ever had a worse season in the Premier League than we had in 21-22. Firing both Ole and Ragnick.
And payout. You have to pay out.
Yeah, and we had an expensive squad with Maguire and Sancho and the likes making so much money. So we made a big loss in the season ending in 22. Last year, when we didn't play in the Champions League, we will basically just break even at best. We'll probably have a bit of a loss from that season. So that means that we can have a total loss of 105 million, and we have 109 million from 22. Last year is perhaps break even. So that means that we must make a profit this season to not violate the Premier League's rules. And we will have the gate income. We will have the European money next season, but we must sell players. United have sold players in a decade. So it's and that's the difference with Chelsea. They sell players for hundreds of millions.
It's kind of funny how things are fluiding now, how we're talking, because all the dots are connected to each other, because what we're talking about the FFP and what we're talking about the priority of Manchester United in the second phase of the transfer window. I call it 2 phases, actually 3, to be honest. Let me explain what I mean. First, number 1 is to get the number 1 key priority targets in ASP. That was the goalkeeper, Onana. There was Højlund in, Mason Mount. Then phase number 2 into this is to recognize what you just said, the sale of the deadwood, basically to trim the squad, to balance the books, to get rid of these unwanted player that's costing you, how do you say, millions and millions and millions, right? But doing nothing. Like they're constantly on loan and we still have to pay them. They're sitting on the bench and we have to pay them. Like, there's freaking 50, 60, 100 million, that could be trimmed off the wage bill. And by doing so, what we're see now, we are in that second phase, according to my opinion. That's why you're not seeing Manchester United triggering Amrabat and Gravenberch and what's the third centre back that we've been linked to from Bayern Munich? What's his name now? Pavard as well, right? That it will come at the third phase, because right now the focus is to get rid of all this dead wood. Because FFP, let me just bring it back to the FFP. It's not about the signings that you make. It's more about the salary wage structure, the football operational side, right? So the FFP looks at the overall staff at the Carrington, overall staff at Mayfair, everyone that works as a staffing. That is an operational cost, right? So paying out firing managers goes on the FFP. But FFP doesn't look at investing in the training ground or stuff like that. It's more about that you spend within your operational means, that the money you're generating must be more of a surplus than a debt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I may say so, that what they're doing now is very critical, because there's a balanced scorecard sheet, right? If you get rid of De Gea, that was on 250, that means that you can hire a goalkeeper, Onana, for 120. That means you saved a lot of money there. So that means that you can recruit somebody and have still a balanced scorecard sheet, because at the end of the day, it's all about balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, definitely. So and it's important to remember that so FFP measures the result of a company and the earnings, and the earnings is revenues minus expenses. But when you sign a player, let's say we pay 100 million for a player, that doesn't mean that we lose 100 million.
No, you don't.
We take 100 million from the line that says cash and puts it in as an asset. So we don't lose any money by signing up a player. But then the value of the player is written down. And since it's a registration right, it's called amortization.
Amortization. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So when we sign a player, the cost of that is the wage, and it's the yearly amortization. And when we sell a player, we look at what value is that player recorded in our balance sheet, since it's an asset. And if we get more when we sell him, then he is recorded that in the balance sheet. It's a profit. But we also, of course, won't pay wages, and we won't amortize.
Yeah, 100%
value. So
100%.
You earn a lot of money by selling players, and I think I think the initial report that we could only spend 100 million. I think that was a bit too low, but it wasn't that far from the truth, because we had a really strong fourth quarter with a lot of games, participating in all tournaments, and going deep. But the thing that doesn't entail is that if we sell Maguire, if we sell McTominay, we could all of a sudden spend 300 million, because, well, McTominay, for example, is an academy player. He is not.
That's pure profit. That's pure profit.
Yeah. So if we get 35 million for him, we can sign one player for 100 million over a 5-year contract, making 100,000 a week.
So just to tie things up, just to clarify the amortization, and this comes into what Chelsea is doing and how they're getting away with it. It's called amortization. And what does it mean? Well, if you sign a player like Casado for 100 million, and what Chelsea has been doing, finding the loophole, which is going to be closed after this transfer window right now, is that they sign an 8-year contract with Casado. This is a risk. But that means that on this particular year, you take 100 million divided by 8. I can't do maths right now. It's late in the morning, but let's say
like 13.
30 million. That's only 30 million recorded on your books for this year.
Yeah.
So, and plus the wages of the player. So that means that next year it will be 30 million plus the wages, right?
Yeah.
So this is how they're getting away with it. And this is simple principle that Manchester United sign players on, 4+1 or 5+1 with an extension.
Yeah. But I can just add to that I looked at Chelsea just recently, a few days ago, and from what I can see, they are surely going to breach FFP provisions.
They are going to breach. They are next year. Yeah. And that's what I want to say. They're going all in right now, acting like prats, like, spending big, almost reaching 1 billion. I believe they spent over 600 million pounds last season.
Yeah.
and this they've gone in very crazy, and that's about it, So they're pressured to sell a lot of players, what they have been doing.
Yeah.
But another thing that they're not playing in Europa, so they're not breaching Europa FFP rules. They're only responding to the Premier League.
Yeah.
But if they get into the Champions League or Europa League next year, they've been in big trouble, according to my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that they made, due to the COVID relief from the Premier League's rules, that they have a profit in. So we said that in Premier League's FFP rules, you look 3 years back, and you can make a loss, total loss of 105 million. And in Chelsea's case, they have a profit coming out on the third year. And then last year, 2 years ago, they made a big loss. Last year, the book isn't out yet, but it doesn't look good at all. So that means that they have next summer, they will look at 2 years with a big loss. So they must make a big profit this year. And they won't be playing in Europe. So that's 100 million straight there. And Chelsea have a really low match day revenue, for example. It's 60 million only. So Chelsea makes money from playing in Europe and selling players. And
they do.
There is no way they can make several hundred million in profit this season.
We're not going to talk about Chitty City, right? We're not going to talk about, because we know they have 115 counts and stuff like that. So let that sink in as well.
Yeah.
But to summarize the takeaway, I would say that FFP stands for fake financial predictions.
Yeah, that's fitting.
Now, that's a good thing. But in general, it's safe to say that we are good. We are compliant 100%, because I remember in the beginning of the season, we had the UEFA coming. We asked the question, are we good? We raised the question, are we good? And they gave us the prediction, so we know exactly how to operate as a club. But do we then agree that this second part of this transfer window is to sort of trim the wage bill, basically, so people are not panicking, why we're not signing Amrabat right now, why we're not signing more players? It's basically due to focus on to get the wage bill down, to offload the deadwood, like Bay, like even a loan deal to loan out a Donny van de Beek for 1 year when they pay it's actually helping the club to sign players. So would you agree with me to say that if we play the cards right now, we get Harry Maguire. We're going to touch about Harry Maguire, by the way. Scott McTominay, as we mentioned, he's a homegrown talent, so that's pure profit if they sell him. As you said, 45 million is a profit. That means that you can spend 100 million next signing, etc. But that doesn't mean that you have to do a top board to go all in this summer. That can be spread out for next year as well, right? Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So how to best describe and summarize what we spoke about is that FFP doesn't really bother us. We have money to spend, according to my opinion. Ten Hag wants to sign the right player for the right position. There is money available. There's more money available for him to spend. But could you just agree with me to say that at this stage of the transfer window, we have 2 weeks left. It's going according to plan. That what's stalling certain things is the likes of, Harry Maguire, for instance, being a Pratt. We're going to talk about that as well. And some stumbling blocks.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as the club don't want to end up negotiating and selling players with the back against the wall. If you sign Amrabat now, everyone knows that we must sell. And let's say we signed Amrabat and Pavard today, then we would have to sell, and the bids would be accordingly, because everyone would know that we are in trouble. So, right or wrong, we sign the players after we have sold the players. And I think selling players, you can do it in 2 ways. Either you can just put them on the market and take the highest bid. By doing so, you will get market value for them, because per definition that's what someone is willing to pay for them. But we are we are holding on. We are holding on to our valuation of a player, Maguire and McTominay.
That's it. What I want to come to. Even if we bought a Maguire, which we're going to leapfrog into the next story here, next segment. Even if we bought Harry Maguire for 80 million euros, so I don't know, God knows, was it 80 million euros or was it 75 million pounds? Yeah. that over the course of years is called amortization as well. So even if we sell him on a 35 or 30, that's a break even, isn't it?
Yeah, I have this spreadsheet in front of me as always. It's on the books of at 26 million.
26 million.
Yeah, but let's say we sell him for 20 million. That doesn't mean that it's a loss for us, because we won't pay his salaries. That's 8.4 million per year, and we won't amortize his contract, which is 13 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we sell him for 20 million, we make a loss of 6 million on player trading, but we at bottom line, when we include his savings wages and we want to amortize his contract, it's still a 15 million win over the years. So
Yep. You mentioned the bottom line. I like that phrase because that's what it is. What is your bottom line? And then you have to look at the supply and the demand as well. Right. This year was a very demand of the striker target. That's what we see, insane prices of strikers going for 100 million or Casado going for 100 million. That's supply and demand. Seems. yeah, that's the supply and demand. But the bottom line is, if we round up this conversation, is the bottom line is, what is the break-even point? You know, if we sell them underneath, we will make a loss, and this will definitely affect our FFP.
And I don't think that really matters in relation to any of our players that are rumored to be out, because they are so expensive in terms of wages. So at the bottom line, it's a profit anyway. I think you can sell Maguire for 5 million than break even.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're rounding up this conversation, and we are now going to where's my thingy bob? See, it's a very interesting to summarize. We spoke about the FFP, we spoke about the GLAZERS sales process. We're going to summarize everything, but I think the time is now to come to discuss what's been the burning issue of this week, and that is the contract situation with Harry Maguire. Hurry, 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 Maguire. Dun, 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 dun. Hurry, 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 Maguire. You run to West Ham. Y arriba, y arriba. Y arriba, y arriba. Por ti seré, por ti seré, por ti seré. Hurry, Harry. Hurry, Harry. Hurry, Harry. Welcome back. So Harry Maguire, we all read about it, Mr. Rumble. We all seen it, and I work as an intermediate in the contract market. I know certain information with West Ham that I cannot share, but I can tell you in one thing: the Manchester United and West Ham in deal principle had a deal for 30 million. Everything was set in fire. They say the personal terms was also agreed with Harry Maguire. The stumbling block here is Harry Maguire's agent. There's good agents, there's bad agents, and there's a good agent will have all his legal representatives, all his PR, everything lined up. But what do you think happened here? I think that the agent whispered in his ear that don't accept this. Let's try to get a payout. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's frustrating because, well, if you have a negotiation, I think you have a lot of experience on negotiations. It's not some kind of magic formula. People aren't haggling with each other, sending offers back and forth. It's about leverage. Either you can accept something or you don't. Either you have time on your side and can wait out the other party, or you don't. And in these types of situations, none of the parties really have any leverage.
They don't.
So what really happens is that you come in with a really low offer from Manchester United and a really high offer from Maguire, and then it takes time to move in closer and closer. Nobody wants to give up too fast, because then you lose ground, so to speak, in that when inching closer to each other, right? And I think it sounds like we offered 5 million, Maguire wanted 15, and like you said, if we had a reputation on the market as a club to be a good negotiator, and the agent of Maguire trusted us and had experience. They wouldn't come in 10 million apart.
Well, it's a public name that I don't hope I don't get into trouble. But I know this agent, and he's very tricky customer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention his name, but this agent as not really acting in the best interest of Harry. He's been doing some shenanigans off the field, calling random people up and not allowed to speak about his client in certain ways. And Troy Deeney got a call from him as well. It's like, what are you talking about Harry that way? And it's like, who the hell are you? And hang up the phone. Yeah. But the thing is, you got a point there to say that, the deal has been agreed in principle between the clubs. The initial bid was improved. Yeah. The only stumbling block was to talk about the seller wages. And the one that holds the leverage now is Maguire's agent. It's not Harry himself. Surely, as an agent, as a good agent, I would advise him, look, the gaffer doesn't want you. He stripped down your captaincy. We had a conversation. He told us to look for another club. He's not going to play you. You're going to sit on the bench. But contractually speaking, this is what I'm coming to you now.
Yeah.
Legally speaking, we have 2 years left on the contract. Let's just sit it out and let's squeeze them out. Let them pay the difference. We're not talking about Frankie de Jong deferred wages, but this is the stumbling block that he will stink up the place for 15 million, 5 million. So you've seen different reports. First, initially was saying 15 million, and now they came down to 7 million, and now it's kind of a waiting game. And some British press and media has been saying the deal is off. Do you think it's off, or is it more of the agent side leaking out the story to have leverage?
I'm just guessing, but I would be very surprised if it was off. And if it is off, it would have to be due to someone really misreading the room, so to speak. Because I can't see how a player like Maguire can go to Manchester United and then make up his mind that, well, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to West Ham. As soon as if Manchester United just accepts my offer, and then changing his mind and okay, I'm staying. It's once you have committed to a decision like that, it's big life-changing decision. You want to follow through, and I would be really surprised if the club wants to sell him. He obviously was willing to go to West Ham, and so that would be kind of absurd. So I think it's just a negotiation. And
it is for me.
It's 2 weeks away. So
I
think
they have the leverage. Here's what I think is going on, and I have confirmed this from very, very reliable sources from the intermediate market, because agency markets is very small. I know the game tactics here, and I can tell you the deal is not dead. The deal is pretty much the agent leaking out to have leverage. To say, okay, you want us out? This is our revenge. How much are you willing to pay us out? Because, my client wants to go there, but not he wants to remain the same salary. There's a little bit of difference in evaluation, what they offer in salary. Pay out the difference, and we're good to go, right?
Yeah.
So there might be something in 15 million in a 5 years contract evaluation difference, and this is what's going on right now. Now I can sort of tie back to the original, what we're starting with, the Matt Hargreaves at the helms and the negotiations to say we're not going to overpay. They'll probably say, go stick it where the sun don't shine. We're not going to cave in. And you as an agent say, well, we will see about that. Who blinks first? He's going to stay here, sit on the bench, and you're going to still pay his salary, or you're going to pay us out. So I can see something happening right now that at the end of the day, we probably have to pay him out, right? Or if there's somebody else, some other club comes in for him, like they offer him what he wants.
Yeah, but so we can all Google and find the wages of a player, but that's not official numbers. It's only estimates. And the estimates have Maguire making 190,000 a week. So that's times 50. It's almost 10 million. And
10 million, yeah.
Yeah, and West Ham will pay him 5 million. It's 2 years left, so that would result in a 10 million loss.
So West Ham are willing to pay 5 million?
Yeah,
to cover. Okay, not Manchester United.
No, West Ham will pay him 100k a week in a salary. So that means that he will lose 100,000 or 5 million per year.
Oh, just an example. You don't know how much they're going to pay him. Let's say.
Yeah, no, the reports have had West Ham offering 100,000 a week, and I think that sounds reasonable.
That's what he's worth.
Yeah.
That's what he's worth.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you would imagine that United wouldn't pay the full 100% of what he's losing, because it's a deal both parties want. He's overpaid a bit. He will get a sign-on fee from West Ham and so forth.
Yeah, a sign-on fee. Yeah, that's what we're talking
it's
about.
a longer contract too. It's only 2 years left with Manchester, so he perhaps get a 4 or 5 year contract with West Ham. So it's. I'm sure we aren't willing to go and compensate him to 100%. I think we are willing to compensate him 50%, but the agent is asking for 150% perhaps. And I wouldn't be surprised if our initial offer is lower than we are willing to go, which is common in negotiation. I think it's since we don't have a good reputation, their agent think they can really play with us, make us overpay, and we want to create that reputation. So, but I'm with you. I think it will get done, and I think I would be surprised if it doesn't get done.
So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers who is listening, smash a like for this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Listen, I totally agree with what Mr. Rumble is saying. It's all down to leverage negotiation. I don't think that the deal is done. I think that we still have 2 weeks left of the window.
Yeah.
Worst thing that could happen, he will stay for another year or get rid of him in the transfer market. But it definitely puts a bitter taste in most of Manchester United fan. If he was love-hated at the door before and booed, if he managed to stay, I mean, that will only get amplified, Mr. Rumble. Don't you think that it's more justified? Because he was the one that created this story by having a brawl in Greece, getting into legal trouble, and he has to go back to face the court again, I think this year or next year or something like that?
Yeah, I think during this season, I saw some report on Twitter. So he will probably miss some time this season.
Yeah. And it's not the same player that we signed the first 2 seasons. He was actually good. But after that incident in Greece, his head was gone. And you've seen statements and comments in the media to say that I don't need to prove myself and all that stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on who you surround yourself, who gives you the advice. And definitely as an agent, it's your responsibility to give the right advice to your player. Because at the end of the day, you're a football player and it's in your best interest to play football. And as an advisory, as a legal advisor as well, I would certainly advise to go where you can play ball and go where you can actually break into Gareth Southgate's team to play in the Euros. And certainly that's what you want. You don't want to be a Phil Jones to sit there and collect your money, right? That's not what you're here for. Maybe he's thinking, well, maybe my glory days is over. I'm 30. I still have 2 years left on Manchester United contract. Maybe I should just collect that and retire. Maybe that's a strategy. Who knows? Only Harry knows. Listen, I'm really a bit conscious about time. It's been almost 1 hour we've spoken. That leads us just a quick and touch base regarding the sensitive topic that nobody really wants to talk about, but it's looming around the corner as the imminent announcement of Mason Greenwood. From a contract, I want to speak it from a contractually speaking, from pure logic. Forget about everything that's been said and done, that you want him, don't want him. From a legal perspective, I want your advice. Does it make sense what they're doing right now to drag it on? Like, what do you think is going to happen here? Like, I want to hear your opinion quick.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I think, first of all, one thing I reacted on is when the club statement came out, we got a lot of reactions from everyone.
Don't you think it was a filler? Don't you think it was a pulse filler, like to feel the pulse of the...
But when you read that statement, it clearly says that, well, you don't have access to all the information we have. And if you had access to information we have, you would be of a different opinion. They basically say that it's black and white. Due to the only having a partial view of the evidence and wordings like that. So I've been a bit frustrated with, because people that have come out and been wanting Greenwood back and wanting him to return have kind of been attacked all over the place. But when you read the message from the CEO of Manchester United, he says that, well, you would be of a different opinion if you had the full picture. And I think
Exactly.
that's a bit remarkable. With that said, I can't fault anyone for not believing him because, well, we have a long history of these guys not showing themselves to be super competent at what they are doing and so forth. So perhaps they have fumbled this thing too. But that's my takeaway. Here we have professionals, the CEO of multi-billion companies saying that, well, you would be of a different opinion if you had access to the full evidence. With that said, they clearly don't say that he is 100% innocent because they are still deliberating whether to suspend him or not.
Okay. If you hold my thought process, I'm just going to park your beer there, hang on, and let me dissect what you said, because it's very interesting what you say about the statement. It's very interesting that they sit on they done the internal investigation, which they're obliged to do. HR has to do the internal investigation, and they found they have compelling evidence that has not shown to the public as of yet. So the public has been deceived by press. What you've seen is probably not what it's portrayed to be. The court of law has said there's no case. But unfortunately, we're living in this society nowadays sparked by the Me Too movements and the transgender stuff and the gender inclusion. It's been amplified in the media. That's my take on it, right? Now, I am very objective in this situation because I tend to look at the 360 holistic perspective, looking at all the facts and evidence. And I've been saying, I'm not taking any sides. I don't particularly pry in what person is doing in his personal life. But what I do am interested in the overall facts. We don't know if the facts has been tampered with. Like everyone heard the audience, the tape, they've seen some pictures, but we don't know if it's been fabricated, it's been tampered with. We don't know anything. But what I do know is that people are so fast to judge in this modern society. With everything that's going on, we've seen in the takeover, we've seen that, sports washing, human rights, we have all this movement sparkling this thing that I think that it's been over amplified and it's playing on the fans' emotions, right? But it's interesting what you said, that they've done the thorough internal investigation, and whatever they decide to do, it's on the club, right? If you're a fan feeling differently, then it's your opinion. But I'm dying to hear what that opinion might be that we don't know. And apparently what I heard is they're scheduling out a personal interview that was already planned with Harriet and Marcus, not Marcus, Mason, sorry, Mason. By all means, they have a family, they have a little baby boy. Might have been a smearing of a up-and-coming Manchester United player by the press, because all I can think about, love him, hate him, Manchester United, biggest club in the world. It's the biggest scoop. I've seen it so many times that they write so many bad stories and try to spoil Manchester United to get back onto the top, but they don't refuse to write about, who was it that was alleged for rape charges? The Spurs signed. What's his name? Help me. You know who I'm talking about, right?
No, a new Arsenal player, defensive midfielder.
Defense. Oh, yeah. Are we allowed to mention names? Yeah. Party. But we have so many players been accused for worse. We have players that are still playing football. So I'm saying, like, why are people so fickle? Like, if Mason Greenwood comes back, then it's down to the club. Yeah. Are you going to stop supporting your club because of one player? And proven until innocent is guilty, whatever you might say. But all I'm saying is, by the rules, by the books, by the regulation of HR that's done the authority investigation, whatever the outcome might be, I think that we fans need to sort of look at it from that perspective as well, not to throw the first stone. And for those who are against, I can understand. Under no shape or form am I an advocate for home domestic violence, but who hasn't had a broken relationship? Who doesn't argue with your partner every day, right? What do we know if they've had like, bloody arguments? And for God's sake, they're teenagers. I don't know what's going on, what they're doing right now, if they're playing role playing and what they get off on. You know what I mean? For their private life, but that's their private life.
Yeah.
Maybe they played some role plays and stuff like that.
Exactly, and I think like all I know is that when you, for example, take part in court hearings, and I'm not a criminal lawyer, but during my education, I've been in courts. It's part of the kind of road to become even a business lawyer. You take part in all aspects of the law, and there are always two very clear sides, and both sides are always equally convinced of their story. And I think in this case it should be possible for Manchester United to gather a pretty complete picture of what's going on. Is it worse than it looks? Is it better than it looks? It might be very sensitive to, if it's, for example, better than it looks. It could be very sensitive if for certain people who perhaps have lied in that case, to bring that out. And so,
but that's perjury. If you're lying, that's perjury.
Yeah, exactly. But as I understand it, in this case, a phone was hacked and information leaked. It wasn't necessarily that someone, but I don't know. But in any event, if Richard Arnold releases this press release like you have, and it's not a lot better than it is, then I think someone should look if he's suitable for a job. But if you believe what he writes, it's that it's a lot better, because when you look at the wording, it's like we understand that people are upset due to the partial evidence in the public domain and stuff like that. It's not because it's a terrible crime.
Okay. No, I want to round it up because I have worked in global organizations as global HR director, global talent acquisition director, and all that stuff. And trust me, when you do those thorough investigations, that mean that you flip every stone. And if you don't find anything, you look at risk. By all costs, protect your brand and employment brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is the first thing you think about when you do this investigation. If you find that there's no evidence, compelling evidence that will, how do I say, damage your brand, your employment brand, then it's good to go. And if the CEO has the final word, that means that they have done a thorough investigation. HR has done, they've done numerous of interviews. And what they found is now coming out of the statement that Richard Arnold is convinced that we've looked at everything. And what we found here is there's no case closed. Off you go. You're free to play, because at the end of the day, he's an under employment contract, and we have to do it by the legal, what do you call it, employment law as well.
Yeah.
All right then, brilliant. So people, for you listening, I know there's a lot of sensitive people that might disagree. For whatever reason, we're not promoting anything. I'm a very, very objective person. So as I explained, I look at from a 360 holistic perspective, talking to Mr. Rumble here, talking from the HR perspective, from the legal, from the commercial perspective. And, whatever the club decide, I will go with it, because I back the club, I back the manager, and whatever they want, I think it's the best. And I hopefully we will get some clarity. The final takeaway before we round up the show, I know it's been an hour and 10 minutes we've been talking. It's been very explosive, been very informative. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation, Mr. Rumble, as well. Very much. To summarize things, then we spoke about the FFP, we spoke about the transfer situation, the budgeting, the FFP, we spoke about Harry Maguire and Takeover, but I just want to sort of round it up with the Takeover, barring that we spoke so much about it in the first half, and I think that most people are tired of it. When do you see, in conclusion, that this will take place? Do you think after, as per my theory, as what I just painted the picture for you in your mind, a mind picture, that after everything is completed, they will go on, basically the signs there with the Cardiff director, they said, like,
Yeah, I definitely hope so. I do fear that it could be that the Glazers are waiting for much higher bids, either from 9 to from Ineos or from a third, some kind of US consortium. I don't know.
I would just That's what you fear, and that's what most Manchester United fearing. But I can just look at the financial market at the moment. It ain't no market to invest at the moment. Sorry, people. If you look at the figures, I follow the figures. I follow the money. And I can just go by the sales process, the shadow bidding, that everyone that's looked into it backed away. The only one that's been left has been 2 bidders. The shadow bidding process was only, I would say that it's been designed to catch the big hook, like, the oil-rich countries, like Qatar, Dubai. Once they're in, they just said, no, take it or leave it. This is our. They're not going to get any more higher because it's 3-4 times over the valuation. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a great point, because if that's true, if they want a high bid, it won't come in a month.
It won't come in a year.
Yeah, perhaps I think next spring, if things turn fast, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and for them to stay is mathematically impossible as well, because they don't have the funds. Yeah. They don't have liquidity. Yeah. We covered that the Bank of America wants to have the debt payment back as soon as possible. Yeah. The Buccaneers are in trouble as well. And another thing, what I want to mention as well, is that it's in the best interest to sell 100%. Yeah. And Ineos cannot raise any more funds. That's the end of that road. Definitely the only one that can raise money. And I think they milked Sheikh Yassim United to holding to the limit. They are put their foot down to say, we're not going to pay you anymore. This is the final last offer. Take it, leave it. And they will cave in. That's my theory.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
It's not about hoping being right or wrong. It's just, but there's certain information that I cannot tell you based on trust, based that I know people in the 92 Holding Foundation. They've been very confident for certain reasons that they don't need to do PR. I think,
we, the fans, all fans, really deserve a better owner, because the Glazers have been a horrible owner and haven't treated the fans in the way they deserve at all. And I think they own a asset, a football club that should come with a responsibility, because it's a beautiful thing, a beautiful game, and it's been treated in the absolute opposite way.
But there you mentioned a final point, which I almost forgot, and you sort of touched base on before we round up this podcast, to say the silence.
Yeah.
If you understand who the Glazernomics is, who's the Glazer family is, they have a pact, a saying within the family. Nobody speaks. Nobody talks to the press. Nobody speaks. So rest assured that when Rainy Group, as a consultancy working with the Glazers, the first rule of thumb that they told them, we don't talk, right? So that's the reason why you have this silence, because this is Glazers, right? They told Rainy Group, keep silent. This is the strategy. Nobody talks, right?
Yeah.
Let's just finish on this, what I said. Get the transfer over and done. Get the Mason Greenwood over the line. Step number 3 in this communication process is the announcement of the sale. How's that sound to you?
Great.
Good stuff. Listen, it's been a cracking time. I really enjoy talking to you. We speak over the phone now and then. We're both busy, but I got a message for you that you were ready to come and have an exclusive. I'm so happy that you came. I hope you had a great time.
I really did.
Yeah.
Many thanks. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. So for people that don't know you, where can people find you when you're not speaking
I'm on
here?
Twitter at Swedish Rumble, and the same on YouTube, Swedish Rumble. We're getting started there. It's a long curve to learn everything, but I think the content is good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Swedish Rumble. I know your good name. I almost bite my tongue through not to say your good name during this, because I called you Mr. Rumble. Anyway, for guys, please, if you haven't seen the tweets of the Swedish Rumble, you should check it out, because he's been next to me, being a really good logic and reasoning, cool and composed, giving you very informative long tweets and sequences, right? Correct?
Yes.
You start with one tweet and you continue on the thread, right? And I like that. And it's been picked up by many Manchester United fans. And from a Manchester United family, I want to thank you so much for providing your insights and your informative tweets. And I know the situation with your family, and I really wish you and your son the best of luck, because luck is needed. Sometimes it's faith for the recovery of cancer. And if people want to donate for you should donate for the what do you call it? The cancer fund, right?
Exactly.
Because 100%.
All funds.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic 1 hour and 15 minutes podcast. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Leave your comments if you agree, disagree. Engagement is what we're here for. And please follow the Swedish Rumble on his socials. Thank you, Mr. Swedish Rumble. Thank you for coming in, and looking forward to perhaps have you back on the show another time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mick.
Thank you. That's all, folks. See you later, and talk to you later soon. Oh, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely exhausted, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the Swedish Rumble. Please don't forget to go and follow him. The Twitter feeds is in the description below. This is the Q&A section where we are engaging as a global community, because there's been a lot of information that we shared in these two sections, almost that I recommend you to rewatch it and think, use your logic and reasoning, because we've been doing this forensic investigation and podcast for, let's say, almost over a year, numerous of over 60 videos on the Glazers out, following the money, ever since the sales of announcement. And today marks a moment where we've been looking at the media and the clown show, pretty much. Now, I care about my family, and my family are you guys. My family is Manchester United fan base. But you got to look at the journalists. Are they Manchester United fans? Not of them. Many of them. There's names that we know that been spinning plates, and the latest today came out that to say they believe that Rainy Group is selling something that ain't for sale. Like, hello. What were you trying to do? Divide and conquer? Do you think that we've been living under the rock and not reading the headlines for the past 10, 11 months that the club is on for sale? And now they're creating another creative story to keep the gravy train going, to mess with your minds. It's what my friend Jarvis said the other day. Manchester United, love them, hate them, adored, but never ignored. And that's what we're doing here, guys. So listen, at the end of the day, what we say here and what we discuss, it's, for the educational purposes, because I feel that there's a gap. I feel that the Glazers are not communicating. They have a policy not to communicate, to keep silence. We all know that. We know that when we talk about the takeover, it's been taking time, but it's the biggest acquisition and biggest scoop in history that have ever been mentioned. And then, of course, everyone wants to sell the paper. Everyone wants to make money. Swedish Rumble is a very astute business lawyer that works for a mergers and acquisition company as well. So he knows what's going on. So big up to all of you. Big up to Swedish Rumble for sharing the insights. But clearly what we can sort of take away is that everyone makes money in the sales process. It's in Rain Group's best interest to make money. It is. It is. They have billable hours. But on the other hand, it's the media's best interest to keep this story going, the gravy train going, because they make shit tons a lot of money, excuse me for swearing, by keeping this narrative going, by creating these new stories. And the ones that is hurting is you and me. We that cares, that bleed for the club, that wants the best. Yeah. We've seen it in the transfer market. We've seen it in the takeover news. But one thing that we can take away from this, according to my opinion, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that we learn how things are operating. We know how financial market is operating. Everyone's been educated about the stock market, but also everyone is kind of understood what the media is all about. It's been like a clown show where you have the sports journalism portraying themselves to be financial experts and writing stories. Well, they should stick to Transfermarket and being sports journalists. And then they'd be going on Bloomberg and Reuters and trying to discredit them to say this is fake news. This is absolutely laughable. You know what I mean? There's also these agendas creating with movements like, we're talking about the sports washing, we're talking about the human rights. And I'm sorry to say about Mason Greenwood. I kind of try to be very sensitive in this story because I know that a lot of you feel differently. But if there's compelling evidence, because I like facts and evidence, I don't want to put my name and opinion under no shape or form. But if there's any evidence that's not been available for public domain, don't you want to understand before you judge, right? Let's face it, we live in a modern society today that we are getting brainwashed by whoever owns the power, and that's information, that's the media, right? They paint the narrative and we fall for it. Numerous. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me 3 times, a fool cannot be fooled again. So wake up and smell the coffee. We try to provide a voice of reasoning, people. We're not about clickbait. We're trying just simply to educate. If we do have a network that we collaborate with, we share because you're the family. We wear the same shirt. This is Manchester United. And I am personally sick and tired of being dragged through the mud. For 18 years with the Glazers ownership, we've been dragged through the mud with this silence. But no more, no more. At the end of the day, I had my say. This is the last podcast that I will personally do regarding the takeover. The Swedish Rumble was kind of the crescendo of everything to knit things together. And if you haven't watched all these numerous of hours of podcast providing educational information, I suggest you do so. There is a playlist that calls Glazers Out, hashtag Glazers Out Show, right? There you can see everything if you want to follow. It might take you a couple of days to go through the videos, but the clues are there. I tend to do proper journalism in certain ways, to do proper investigation, to look at forensic evidence, looking at one side of the story, fact this, check with that, check 2 sides of the story, the left, right, But at the end of the day, what I'm presenting is always the truth is in the middle. And it's you who receives this information. It's up to you to use your logic, sense, and reasoning to dissect and think about it. Everyone is entitled for opinions, but unfortunately in today's modern society as we're living, it's very fearful. The cancellation of freedom of speech, the freedom of thought, the way you should act, you should behave. What is this world? I call it the clown world at the moment, guys. I like to be objective and subjective, and I like to call a spade, but never in my foot will I create something clickbaity. Because I care about Manchester United. I care about you guys as my family. Big up to all of you for tuning in. I just want to go to the VAR room to see what's going on here. As I've been busy with the Swedish Rumble, Smoky Bacon is saying, nice show. Thank you, Smoky Bacon. For everyone that's been tuning in, Edward Reed, I see you guys. I see you. This community is growing and growing and growing. And there's a reason probably why you like to tune in, because we tell you as it is, right? We try to bring fun back to Manchester United at the same time. I do understand that me included was suffering from PTSD. I can't blame you guys. It's been like 18 years of disaster, right? We had Ed Woodward that destroyed the transfer market, to be honest, but coming out to say that we are Manchester United, we can do anything in this market. This started the gravy train of Manchester United tax 30%. Now, what we're seeing here, what I've been trying to do this transfer season is I work as a football intermediate as well as a contractor, is to provide you an educational platform how things are working. It ain't simply what I call it the fantasy football career mode. Transfer market is very fluid, and transfer market is a hardcore negotiations and backstabbing and hijacking happens. We've seen the madness of Casado versus Liverpool and Chelsea. We've seen it's just madness, right? And this is what they call a silly season. I've been trying to portray the stories that this time around Manchester United is acting like a club, meaning that we are not going to say that we have money. We are acting like we are, how do I say, we don't have any money. We are acting towards the balancing the scorecards. And what we're seeing now is a stumbling block and trying to get rid of the deadwood. So I am absolutely back in Tenhag in this instant. For me, it's been 3 processes in this transfer story or the takeover story as well. It's that there was a sales process going on with Manchester United, and both owners, both bidders wanted this to complete this ASAP before so they can influence the transfer market. But on the other hand, even if new ownerships comes in and pumps in money, they can only pump in according to FFP rules. Like since we are playing in Europa, we are adhering to UEFA, FFP, and Premier League FFP rules. We could only pump in 50 million, 60 million pounds maximum. So I believe, and this is my firm belief, that in the midst of Greenwood's story, in the midst of the takeover, in the midst of the transfer market, as soon as the transfer market kicked off, they just switched off the takeover news. Think about it. Go back in time now and do your research. You didn't hear much. It just stopped. And everything was just focusing on the transfer market. And you still have the same press, this so-called self-privileged journalist. Right. I will tell you something about that. And it is common sense, same as an intermediate market, that you're paying out, you're leaking out stories to the press. It's kind of catch-22. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, you get publicity for free. But in some instances, when you have contracted PR teams that working for certain individuals or groups, you see, journalists don't make money today. They don't sell papers, they sell subscriptions. If you jump into some of these websites, they're full of advertising. You can hardly read the news. But what you're reading nowadays is just the headlines, right? It is smart but lazy journalism, what we've been experienced. They're just reiterating a lot of word diarrhea, excuse my language, and they just put these selling headlines. Because why? They discover that we as a modern society have ADHD. For some reason, we developed this. We don't have time. Like, think about it. How many times do you want information now? Exclusively. Give me now. How many times are you sitting, hanging there on Twitter or social media trying to find information? You're the target, right? They figured this out. This is the formula, right? So anyway, I don't really particularly rate those journalists, because the journalism for me back in the days when I used to go to university and study was always being objective, always to look at 2 sides of the story and present what's in the middle and let you as an audience to decide, For me, I always said all roads leads to Doha, and I've been saying that for quite a while based on the information that I have. So it's up to you what you want to believe, but I can certainly say that from a logic, sense, and reasoning, that the Glazers are not involved, because all the sign-offs has been done by Joel Glazer, right? All right. Think about it. All they care about is money, but sexy money. So this time around, Erik ten Hag is in power, right? When was the last time you saw a manager getting his first targets across the line? You have to go very, very back in line to Sir Alex Ferguson, right? Think about Mourinho. He didn't get his first targets over the line. He absolutely threw his toys out of the pram that season when he didn't get what he wanted. And he got booted out after 6 months after, I think 7. He got kicked out of the club. So all I'm saying is just be cool, composed, relax and don't let the media bite you at the end of the day. So big up for all of you for tuning in. Yeah. Jamie Vane, Lucky Singh, everyone. You know, if you want to protest, continue protesting. If you want to walk out for the, Nottingham Forest game, do so. Whatever it takes, it's always been green and gold until we fully announced and sold. That's my stance on it. And there's so many burning topics that I look around and my fellow content creators, they don't dare to talk about it, They're too influenced, they're too polarized, they're too blinded. But I don't let myself being blinded. I got to stay sane and provide that motion sickness pill to you as my community. Yeah. I'm not going to mention names. I see you mention journalist names, but it's 49 likes here with Stephanie Griffin. So please smash the like. I'm absolutely tired. As I said, it's been a very lengthy, emotional journey to do this podcast. And this will be the last that I do regarding the takeover, because there's nothing more to say from my side. I let the process take its course, right? I said my piece, and you choose to what you want to believe. What we do here is just providing the facts. Some people call it conspiracy theory, some people call it delusional, but what is the truth? I always say the truth is in the middle, people. Maguire, what we spoke about with this delusional agent, and I certainly believe that Maguire will be sold. There's even coming out the news today, he's not on the bus. Erik ten Hag is punishing him. This is it, This is a behavior that we don't want. We don't want like two goalkeepers to sit there, like a goalkeeper like Henderson and Maguire to be grumpy old farts sitting there stinking up the place. That's kind of like ruining. That's too bad at rotten apples to sit there to ruin the overall squad dynamics and the happiness what's been created. So I believe what Smokey Bacon has said. I believe definitely Maguire will be sold. I can see you, Smokey Bacon. What percentage? I leave it down to you guys what percentage you think Maguire will be sold. But evidence pointing that they are trying to do a blinder here. They're trying to do a Peaky Blinder to extort United to pay him out to leave. Pay me and I go. Right. Well, excuse me. The whole world is watching. Everyone is talking about you. ESPN did just a special report. It's just amplified. So it's not good for your image. So, Harry Maguire, if you're looking at this video, which you probably won't, but anyway, I'm just talking from a Manchester United fan. Go play football somewhere else. This has just gone too far for your own damage control. And if I was your agent, I would just say, mate, just take it and go, right? But if you're sitting there like, want to become the next Phil Jones to collect money for welfare, then you are deserving to be like, if you're playing next time, to get booed. Are you delusional, or wake up, smell the coffee, or just don't listen to what you're surrounding yourself with? Because at the end of the day, you're a footballer. Ten Hag clearly don't rate you. He's giving you chances, but Ten Hag haven't seen you improve. There's a lot of players that he sent away. Like let's take the example of Jadon Sancho. Broken Sancho. He sent him away to Holland, came back new and improved, and fought for his place. Maguire, we saw going for 3 weeks boot camp playing Rocky Balboa with a personal trainer, but still nothing has changed. And coming out with comments to say, I don't need to prove myself. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough, people. 51 likes in the stream. What Stephanie Griffin is saying, guys, you've been such a musing. It's been just a mad window, guys. It's been really, really mad. Really mad. I mean, I covered a lot of transfer windows. I worked in the transfer market as well, but I could say that the reason why this is so crazy because of the new FIFA regulations that's taking place. After these transfer windows, agents will not be able to earn the big money anymore, because there's going to be a cap on salary cap. Basically you can earn maximum 5% on the total package of what your player is getting at when they sign with the new club. So that's why you're seeing this fire rush, right? Hijacking left, right, center. Yeah, it's worse. I can see what Smokey Bacon is saying. For it's sabotage, right? It's pure sabotage. It is just a childish behavior, because we all know that senior players came back after the holidays. They had meetings with Ten Hag. Ten Hag summoned Harry Maguire, told him his plans together with his agent to say, look, I'm going to strip off your captaincy. I'm not going to play you. You're going to sit on the bench. I'm even going to play Johnny Evans that I just recruited. And I give him, and you're going to end up on the sixth centre back. What does that tell you? Well, I'm Harry Maguire. I can prove myself. Yeah, right. But what about the repercussion? What about the fans? If you've been booed before, like now fans have a justification to even boo you louder. I'm against booing, but I would definitely stop booing now, to be honest, if you stay. I don't think he's going to stay at Manchester United. I don't think this saga is over. I don't think it's, it ain't over to the fat ladies, things what they say in opera, if you know what I mean. So Stephanie Griffin, big up to you. Edward Reid Greenwood is going to be back, and I can't wait for it. Some people have split opinion, Edward. You are entitled, but all I'm saying, just like, I don't like this opinion. I see some tweets and some people saying that if Mason Greenwood come back, I will stop supporting the club. Really? Who are you going to go support then? Liverpool? Are you joking? Are you mad? No, man. Seriously. I don't like what I'm hearing, but all I want to see is compelling evidence. And if there's a statement coming up from the club and planned interviews, then we should hold our grudges until we get the compelling facts that have been apparently held away from the public, right? Once that's out, I think everything will be clear. It's what we say, it's not that we are sponsored by Manscaped, but trim the bush to make the yard look bigger. So, clear the fog to see the sun, and that's what I'm personally waiting for. Karen Reed is saying, right, nobody can touch him. Boo-hoo. Well, Karen, you mentioned a point, and I'm very careful who I'm speaking to, but I'm probably going to get a phone call from his agent, because he's very hostile, right? He's very notorious in this industry that he baked in a lot of extortion contracts and stuff like that, so yeah, he's doing this talking basically. But that's what I'm saying, like, do you care about your player? If you're an agent, you want your client to play football and be successful, so you also can make money. But this is just a wrong tactics that backfired, and I believe that we will see a winner. It's all about leverage. It's all about leverage. So right now, in principle, West Ham had an agreement with Manchester United. Fees was agreed. Everything was agreed. The only thing that was stinking up the place was his agent to say, well, listen, Harry, you're better than this. Let's ask for 15 million. They asked for 15 million, got rejection. Then they went down to go, okay, about 5 million, 7 million, 8 million. At the end of the day, it's for the best interest. Maybe Manchester United will pay him out. I don't know. But it's probably for the best, guys. That's probably for the best. That's just my opinion, though, guys. Anyway, we are 40K per season, right? So I do hope you understand that I've been following these two episodes in the morning and today, that, we are in the phase kind of 2 in the transfer market, and that is kind of operating to get the deadwood out. And just to understand that, we've been fast in the, to get over the line with the first targets, and we know what's going on with Amrabat. Amrabat has rejected everything. They have a pre-agreement. Amrabat is just waiting, and don't worry, we have 2 weeks left. He ain't going nowhere, right? So don't believe what the media reports are saying as well. Now, what's very important for the club is to get this deadwoods out, and I back that 100%. So we need to get Brandon Williams out the door. We need to get Harry Maguire out the door, 100%. Scott McTominay looks like there might be some opportunities for him to go. We see. The club has always said, like, we'd rather not sell Scott McTominay, but if a right offer comes in for Scott, we will sell him, right? So what happened to the personal terms? Then West Ham had agreed with Scott McTominay and stuff like that. It's just down to lining up the targets. We've seen that Gravenberch is coming in as well. That is kind of picking up, but that is more of a loan deal with an option to buy. So that's brilliant, because if you get an Amrabat in, if you do get a Amrabat in and Gravenberch, that's two different midfielders, because Gravenberch knows Ten Hag's system. Gravenberch is the more of the ball carrying midfielder. Why? The likes of Amrabat is that tank destroyer that could easily rotate with Casemiro, right? So all of a sudden we will have squad depth, but it's all about quality. It's not about quantity. We had a lot of quantity, like Richard Arnold came out to say that's like, I came to the training ground and we spent 1 billion and nothing to show for. What the hell did we buy? And this is what we're trying to get rid of, people. I hope you do understand. Greedy indeed, what you guys are saying, like, David Main, greedy indeed, trying to do a Phil Jones. Yeah, Phil Jones at the president's. But Phil Jones had a legal... he had some problems, like some serious surgery, injury went wrong that totally destroyed his career, what I heard. Yet what Karen Reed is saying, you agree with me. I'm glad you can see through my vision as well. Ramo, but Amrabat is saying won't wait forever and unable to sell Mr. Bean Murtaugh. It's not about that, Ramo. Like, it's basically formality. You heard Alfredo Pedola said it as well. Jurgen Klopp phoned up to call. He got the same answer again. He got snubbed to say, no, I only want to play for Manchester United. We have a pre-agreement. You see, Intermediates has kind of already negotiated this deal. All it is formality. Fiorentina are aware of the situation and they're willing to wait. They're not going to sell him to anyone else. The only thing that could stop this deal if Manchester United themselves walks away and not going for it. That is the only thing. Or if Amrabat all of a sudden decides that he's going to prolongate a contract with Fiorentina, which I don't believe, because Fiorentina is already lining up his replacement. So I wouldn't worry about that one. So will there be more signings, people? Let me know. Do you think there will be more signings? I certainly hope so. If we get a loan deal with the Gravenberch, that's fantastic, right? Do you reckon we're going to get another centre back if we sell off Harry Maguire? Perhaps not. You see, like, Pavard, also very, very wants to play for Ten Hag and Manchester United. We see that Inter's trying to lure him in, but his heart and mind is set on Manchester United. So we will see. We will see, guys. Anyway, it's been fantastic to engage with all of you, right? So guys, leave a comment below. We will see you tomorrow. There's like 150 of you in the chat room. I'm totally alone, totally exhausted. Amrabat, please, is what Karen is saying as well. I can see you, Karen. Big up to you. Happy Friday. I'm absolutely exhausted. It's been a kind of tough 24 hours. Like, transfer market never sleeps, right? So I'm just dying for this transfer market to finish so I can have a proper sleep, right? Amrabat, please. Yes, pretty please. 61 likes, says Stephanie Griffith. Come on, Stephanie. People smash that like, it's free. Don't be greedy glazes, right? Come on. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Some people say, excellent show. Thank you for all of you. Thank you and for understanding, right? So, look, I'm doing this for passion. I'm doing this because the love of the community, what we're growing. I think that we are the most positive community. And I think how you shape your persona profile, it's like a mirroring effect. Like, if I provide you positivity, positive energy instead of being constantly negative, then I hope that this kind of rubs off for you, because mental health does, affect us in our everyday life, Dopraveche. What RJ is saying? Dopravice. No, Dobroveche, Mick. Yeah, RJ, Dobroveche. Good therapy session as per usual. Yes. And another therapy session is Nuruddin. I miss Nuruddin. I haven't spoken to Nuruddin. To Chuamini. Well, there's still surprises, Stephen Welsh. 100%. What's going to happen with Chuamini? Well, it looks like nothing's going to happen there, because it looks like that, what's his face? Kylian Mbappe is not moving anywhere. Like, Chidi Abragano. Chidi. Oh, sorry. I can't read your name. If Sheikh becomes new owner, he will definitely terminate Lord Maguire's contract and slowly release the Deadwood players. The only thing that you can do is can't terminate the contract. But if you terminate the contract, you have to pay out. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. You can rip up the contract and just go, like we did with Bay. We let him go for free, because at the end of the day, you take the hit to say that, anyway, if we let go of Bay, I don't know if it's 150, 100K a week. that still eliminates the wage bill, so you can balance the scorecard, the operational cost, right? Jarvis Cocker, big up to you. Could you dilute the glazes? What are you saying, Jarvis? I'm gonna see you, Jarvis, tomorrow. I see you, Jarvis. Listen, could the diluted glazes wait the announcement of Amrabat until Nottingham Forest at home, just to keep the protests down to a minimum? Can be, Jarvis. It can be, my friend, my dear friend. I miss you today, sir. But in the beginning, I thought, and I even seen some tweets from banks, from other peoples within this community, to say in the very, very early beginning, to say that most likely the announcement will take place in September, and we are coming towards the September. But I don't really care about the timeline, because the rush was to actually get new owners. If you think about it, we need to get new owners so we can actually go hard on the transfer market. Well, we still have gone hard on the transfer market. We still have overpaid more what the British press was saying, to give you the estimates that Manchester United only have 120 million to spend, blah, yeah. Same shit every year. Every spin, rinse, repeat. How much have we spent so far? An estimate of 160 million. Something like that. I don't think we're done yet, because Erik ten Hag always says there is money to spend, but only for the right player in my system, what I've been taking place. So it's not just by going out the shirt sellers, it's just buying the player that he thinks fits his playing style, so he can compete. We take it day by day, game by game. Tomorrow we're playing Spurs, and do you think we're going to roast them? 100%. Lucky Singh, Birmingham City is the birth. Karen, good advice, Jarvis, what everyone's saying. Big up to all of you. I've been live now for how long? 1 hour and 26 minutes. I'm going to close the shop now because I'm tired. It's been relentless. Did 100 streaming. I've been working today as well, and had 3 hours of sleep. Yeah. So I'm out of juice and energy, guys, people, so you have to excuse me. But I really hope you found this 2 podcasts with Swedish Rumble informative. As I said, this will be the last podcast of the Glazers Out show that I've been doing. I'm closing that shop, and I'm just going to be positive, to be focused to be a football consumer, just to enjoy the football, just to enjoy Ten Hag Ball 2.0, because I can clearly see where we are going as a club, right? I kind of brushed off the old PTSD and find the rebirth and the love for Manchester United again. So big up to all of you guys. Big up to David Main as well. Thank you for being a lit show. Thank you for the positive comments. I can take positive, negative, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here talking if it wasn't for you guys. Guys, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe if you haven't. It's been Mick Ruby, and big up. Thank you for Swedish Rumble for these 2 amazing episodes that we did. And we will see you tomorrow. 100%. Me and Jarvis will be doing the warm-up show as per usual to gas it up, because tomorrow we're gonna roast the Spurs tomorrow. Yay! I know. We and Jarvis gonna gas it up tomorrow. As per usual, what we do is that we go live about approximately 15 minutes before the live lineup. So we're gonna talk about. We're gonna be able to gas it up. Join us in that live stream. We will post it up later on, and then we're gonna react on the live lineup, basically, and then we're gonna discuss how we're gonna beat the Spurs and eventually see what the score prediction is. But I think the biggest threat for us is not any Spurs players. It's Michael Oliver. Oh my God, if you remember Michael Oliver, they gave the red card for Casemiro. Casemiro, be on your alert. Be on your toes, guys. Peace. I love you all. 66 likes. Be cool and composed. What we ever said, peace, love, and go bananas. But in this instant, we have say peace, love, and thank God we have banana. This has been Mick Ruby, Swedish Rumble, and the beautiful VAR room, guys. Please tell others to watch the show. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and we shall see you tomorrow. TGIF people, have a good evening. Bye for now.
That's all, folks.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.